I'll zoom. There we go. Continue. Okay. Do you have a cake? Is there an actual cake?
Yes.
Amazing.
It's sunk a little bit, but so it's got a slight dent in the middle, but I think we can work with it.
It sounds fine. I'm sure for what we're doing, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I only have a dummy because, as I say, I didn't really get my act together. So I'm just going to ice my dummy. So you can ice your cake while I'm busy that. The dummies are very light. This is more for anyone who's watching this later. So I'm going to stick it onto the board with some double-sided tape.
Yeah.
That's not really a cake thing. That's more just a practicality issue. A real cake obviously doesn't need to be stuck down because it is not polystyrene. There we go. Ugh, if I can ever get this peel off here. No. Hello. Okay. Right, and I don't know what your icing is like. I just want to the screen here. So I made this morning. It's actually firmed up a little bit. I've whipped it for long. You want it to be quite soft and spreadable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is yours soft and spreadable?
It's close. So I might
close. Or just stick it in the microwave for a second.
Yeah, that might actually.
Especially when it's cold weather, it can be perfect when you make it, but then when you come back to use it, it is now firmed up quite a bit. And again, if you whip it for too long, you end up with a lot of air bubbles. Let me just show you.
Yeah.
So those are the air bubbles I'm talking about. They're not a problem really. You can just smooth them out with your spatula or whatever. But it's just one of those things. Oopsie. Caramel cake. And we're going to do this painting kind of technique on here. So it needs to be smooth-ish, but it doesn't have to be super, super smooth because the painting is quite textured anyway. So you just want something like that you can work on without, you know, it interfering in what you're doing. You don't have to spend hours and hours smoothing it. I'm just going to get a smidge of more icing on here. Okay. And I'm making mine quite thin because I don't really want to, I'm not going to eat this because it's polystyrene. So I don't really want to have waste all my icing on a dummy. But obviously I just ice it in the normal way, basically. And if your cake is what color is your icing? White?
Yes, so it's getting crumbs in it already, which is...
So that's what I was going to say. So what I think you should do is do a thin layer of icing.
Yeah.
And then just let it set a little bit. And then, well, we can just paint over those crumbs, actually. But or you could do a second layer. So the first layer is actually called the crumb layer because the idea is that all the crumbs will be stuck in that layer. And then you come back and do a second layer, which is then perfect and uncrummy.
Need to soften the icing a little bit more.
Yeah, it looks like it's difficult to spread. Just stick it in the microwave. Yeah, I must say this weather is not lending itself to getting up early in my world. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of cuddle down under the blankets there. So, and also your cake, although your cake is smaller, sort of flatter and wider than my cake. So just, I think you're going to probably paint more on the top. I've done it so that we can do on the sides, just so that it's possibly easier for people to see on the video. I don't know if that's actually true though, or it doesn't really matter actually. Also, this is the shape of the dummy. So there's that, you know. Here we go. So are you an experienced painter?
Fairly experienced.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay, good. Because I'm actually not generally very good at things like painting and drawing. So
Yeah, so I do a thing called art yoga.
oh, wow. What does that involve?
Every week.
That sounds very peaceful. I don't know what that is, but it sounds awesome.
It is amazing.
So do you do yoga and art at the same time?
So we incorporate some of the breathing of yoga.
Yeah.
Then do some mindful doodling.
Wow.
So some pattern that you can just breathe gently while you work. And then we'll do some actual doodle after that.
That's so awesome. Where do you do this?
It's online at the moment with a local lady called Camilla Hazel. She's a cousin of a friend of mine, which is where I found out about it from.
That's very cool. Because as I said, I'm not really much of a drawer really, but also during lockdown, I've been doing some like lettering and stuff. And I got a bit into that kind of doodle lettering, you know, vibe.
Yeah.
And then this top edge, if you want to, you can make it as square or as rounded as you want. I don't know. I kind of like it to be a little bit rough, actually. I'm quite into that look at the moment. But again, if you wanted it really flat on the corners, you just scrape the sides and then scrape inwards with the palette knife. Let me just get that. I think you and I have done this before. I don't know. I feel like we've done this before. Yes, I did my first online Pilates class this week. It was great.
Yeah. That's the other thing I've been enjoying. But ours has now just moved into the studio at long last.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think the lady that I've been doing for, she's been doing these online classes all year, basically. But it's the first month I've actually got my act together to like sign up and book the time and. And then, so when we start with this, you can obviously mix all your colors beforehand if you want, if you know what colors you want. But I've been finding while I was sort of practicing for this class that actually just mixing as you go is maybe nicer, because then you can have kind of like 2 or 3 colors or a slightly, I'll show you what I mean as we go, like a, so that the color isn't uniform, that it's kind of more like faded from one color to another. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah.
I'll show you what I mean. And you will also need some variety of things. Tools of various shapes. This is what I've got. But I've also got some teaspoons and things. I'm going to use the back of those. I'll show you as we go as well, just what you can do with them. I need colors. What colors are we going to do? Pink. Pink, yellow. Okay. This is a picture. It's too red there. I had like a maroon color. Right. How's your cake? Is your cake more or less ready to do something with it?
Yes, I just put it in the fridge for a moment.
Okay, perfect. Right, okay, so let me show you what I'm going to do. So we're going to use these different tools to make different shapes of the icing on the cake, basically. So I've got 2 different teaspoons. I've got a few different like little palette things. I've got a knife. So if you look at the shape of those, they're quite similar. So that would work the same. Again, I didn't really know what people had, so I didn't make a very long list. I just said whatever non-serrated knife. But you can use anything that has a shape on the end of it. You'll see as we do it what it does. Okay.
Yeah.
So a little palette knife I had. Okay. Oh, that's good. Great. So I'm gonna I'm just gonna scoop a bit of icing on here. Okay. Obviously you can mix this in your bowl. I'm just gonna mix it on here so that you can see what I'm doing with all these different colors and everything. Angle on it. Okay. I'm gonna start with some pink. So this is what I was trying to say now, very ineloquently. Instead of mixing it in the bowl until it is fully mixed through, just mix a little bit of color in to some parts of it. So like, for instance, this will be a dark pink here, and then there's a kind of a lighter pink. Yeah. And then you can grab a little, you know, so that you can get that kind of fading color. Okay. And if you're feeling concerned, I don't know, I am feeling a bit concerned. You can test it on your plate or whatever first, or you can go straight onto your cake. It's up to you. I'm gonna go on my cake. I'm just gonna do it. How about that? Okay. Let me just zoom it in here for you. There we go. Okay. Right. So obviously you can do any shapes that you like. I'm going to do flowers because that's the thing I feel the most confident in. And well, let's just start with something quite simple. So do something like that, and then repeat that to make all the petals. So, and I don't know, this is why I'm not a good person to teach drawing or whatever. Usually these flowers and things have 5 petals. So you're going to aim for that. You might just have to change the angle so that you can get it in there. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Then in the middle of this, if you wanted to, you could make another row of petals. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of yellow butter icing, and I'm going to just pipe some little dots in the middle. So actually, let me just make my bag. So generally, I mean, I would say the middle of these types of things has, I don't know, like the polleny bits, or I don't know, whatever those parts are. So I'm just mixing my yellow here. I don't know if you can actually see that. No, there we go. And I'm just going to quickly put that in just a little piping bag because it's very difficult to scoop on dots. So that's a challenge. And you can put a nozzle in the end of this. I've got this coupler thing. This thing, I think we might have used it before. It looks like this. So I can change between them just to show you what the options are. But you can, you don't have to do any of these things. I'm just showing you so that you've got ideas. And you can always come back and do this at the end. I'm just making the bag so I can do the different flowers as I go. So with the coupler, it's got two parts. That part goes inside the bag and this part goes on the outside. Keep your icing in there. Okay, and these are the 3 nozzles that I chose out. This one is a number 14. It's a small little star shape. I don't know, it's really small. Then I've got a number 4, which is just a normal hole. And then this is actually the one I'm going to use now. This one is a number 133, which is they call it a grass nozzle. It's got lots of holes in it. It's just hopefully going to save me some time. This yellow is quite bright. Okay. So there you go. It's got these little holes. There they are. So you can just pipe on that middle in one kind of go. Okay. You need to go there. Okay, so that's like just a very simple flower. I'm going to do another one. And I'm hoping to actually cover this whole cake with various flowers. Here's a picture that I had kind of for inspiration. It's quite wild. I don't know. We don't have to do this. But that's my idea, is to kind of cover the whole cake with flowers. So I'm going to make another one over here somewhere. And I guess it's a bit like painting with oils or acrylics, or I don't actually know, does acrylic do this? You see that? Talk about cakes and I'm fine. Talk about art and I'm cut out of my league. Okay. And another little. So let me show you another option for the middle. So if you didn't have the grass nozzle, which has all these holes, then you just choose a simple round one, or even just cut a hole. And then you can just pipe the dots separately and you just make separate dots. Obviously it gives a slightly different look, but that's also maybe a good thing. Okay. Go another one.
Morning.
Right, the next color I'm going to mix is green. So I'm just going to mix it onto my yellow spot here, because yellow and green are next to each other on the color wheel. So if I can just stick it on there, it'll just make my green a bit more like lime green, I'm thinking. And again, you don't have to mix a ton of each color. You can just mix a little bit of whatever, because you can see you don't use that much of these. You don't want to end up with mountains of leftover color at the end of it. Some green coloring. Angle here, there we go. Now you can see how messy I am. And I find green a very challenging color in food coloring because the greens that they sell are very synthetic looking or very fake looking. So this one is called mint green, but you can see it's very bright. It doesn't look really like a leaf. It's kind of working for my plan right now, but I find it a difficult thing. I find it challenging to find a realistic, not creepy looking green. Anyway, onward with it. Okay. Right, so if you want to make a stem or vine, something like that, you can just take a flat knife or something and just get that icing all up along the side like that. I don't know if you can see that. And then you can just either just press it on or like lightly just kind of make a bit of a shape with it. I'm going to put some leaves on it in a minute, but let's just make another one so you can see. Something like that. And then onto this, I'm going to put some leaves on either side. Okay, so for the leaf, you want something with a pointed end. So like your normal knife, or where's that other funny little thing I had? This thing, they both have a nice pointed end. Because we want so I'm sure you can see here, this gives you basically the shape of the rounded circle, which was this shape here, which is rounded. Obviously the leaf, we want it to be square, pointier. Okay. Right. And then, so once you've got it onto your knife or whatever you're putting it on, just clean away the sides by rubbing them on either side. So if you, wait, let me just get it. So if you have icing sticking, oh God, if you have icing sticking off the side like that, as soon as I put it on there, that's the shape it will have. So yeah. I'm just cleaning it away a bit, just removing it from its sticking outiness. And then I'm gonna just press it and give it that shape. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
If you overstep the mark, like here I've gone over, I think it's very forgiving. You can just lightly scrape it away. I'm actually going to come back and do leaves on the other side, so I'm not really that concerned about it being over the edge. And generally with stems like this, you'll find that the top of the leaf or the end of the leaf is the smallest one. I'm going to sneeze. Oh no, it's not good. Okay. So you want to go from smallest to biggest. Ignore that guy, he's an outlier, but this kind of thing. And this is maybe why you would want to do a little test on something before you start, just to see what it's going to do, because yeah, I'm not thrilled with him. He's bothersome. Okay. Going back with another one. And I think it's fine if you, so as you, let me just do one here. Oh, excuse me. As you pull it down, so you press it on flattish to get the green on there. And then as you pull it down, drag the tip of the point through the middle. Okay, I didn't actually succeed in doing it now, but if you pull it enough and you drag it into the white, you'll get like a little vein in the middle. You see that? Not that you have to have that, but if you wanted to have a vein, then by dragging it through the underneath color, that color will show through. Or you can just make them green. Totally up to you. The hardest one for me is to get the angle to actually, and doing it flat on a surface is much easier. Okay. Like a fern leaf vibe. And the butter icing, as it dries, it will form a crust. So let's see if I can show you from the side here. These guys are peeking out. There we go. So they're sticking out a bit. If you don't like that, you just put my finger in it. Just wait until it forms this crust. Then you can just pat it down slightly with your finger. If it's sticking out in a way you don't want. Sometimes you do want it to be sticking out like that. So that's truly, up to you. If you didn't want a stem down the middle of it, you could just put the leaf next to a flower. So just get a good angle on this guy. Can I put him there? In fact, let me just do a test run. You see how anxious I get. So you could just do a simple leaf. And then if you kind of wobble it and pulse it, you should get a kind of slightly serrated one. No, I can't get it. Just use the tip to make it serrated. So like a rose leaf or something would have a slight serration on it. I actually don't know if using a serrated knife would work, but obviously it would only give you one side. You'd have to do two then. Do it with this knife. And I get quite a kick out of trying the different sort of tools I have to see what will happen. So that's my non-serrated knife there, and that's my little trowel thing, whatever this thing is, this little triangle thing. So you can see they give quite a different look, different kinds of leaves. This guy is now really bothering me. Go away. And then the next, how are you going there?
Going well.
I'm going to rush you.
I've got some flowers and leaves going, so that's quite good.
Yeah, I feel like you're born to do this. You look like you got it going on there.
Yeah. This is the stuff I love doing.
That's what I'm saying. I can see that. I'm all like, oh my gosh, I'm anxious.
I think that this is what I've also taken from art yoga is there's no mistakes. You just work the mistake in.
See, that's it. Can I please incorporate that into my life right now, because I have trouble with it. Okay, I'm going to mix another color because, well, more is more. I think I'm going to do like a little kind of bluish lilac-y color for a sort of filler flower. I'm just cleaning off all of these. That guy's really dirty. I think I'll just reject him. So on my kind of palette thing that I've got going on here, let's just turn it a bit. And because I want to do a paler color now, so up until now I've just been dropping the drops of color on, but I feel like you can't get a pale color like that. So I'm going to just use a toothpick. Oh, this really can't fit in here. Okay, hang on. Oopsie. Just to put a little bit of color on there, because I don't want to go like full on. I think we've got enough bright colors going on here. Okay, and I'm sure that this is all familiar to you, but just to go over it for anyone else who's watching the video later, maybe, because somebody else I wanted it. So the colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, if you mix them together, you will have shades of that color. So this purple, for instance, is quite, what is the word I'm looking for? Quite blue. So if I added more pink in, I can take a little bit of this pink that I've got here and mix that in. And that will make it a like a more, oh, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. So red and, or pink in this case, and yellow and blue are the primary colors. If you mix pink and or red and blue, you'll get purple. If you mix yellow and blue, you'll get green. And if you mix yellow and red, you'll get orange. So I would say keep your things in those groups, because if you mix green and purple, you're going to end up with brown. And by adding a little bit of the other color, you can see you can make it kind of tonal. Okay. This is still quite a bit darker than I had actually intended it to be, so I'm going to scoop a bit more of the light white in and just mix it up a bit. There we go. And that's what I had in my mind. There it is. There goes the train, and I dropped my piping nozzle. Okay. So for this, I want to choose something small because it's like a, if you look in this picture here, I'm kind of looking at these guys here, these little, they're blue in the picture, but these little like filler flowers.
Yeah.
So I want something small. So I'm going to use the back of my teaspoon. I had a different shaped one here. I don't know where it went. Never mind. I'm just going to use this one. So it's also rounded on the end, but much smaller than this rounded one. And I found that, you know, if you just look around your house, you'll find things of various shapes that you can use. I did also find some of my fondant tools, these guys, which I'm going to also try out just now. But let's go with this teaspoon. Okay. Again, if you have a lot of things sticking out, you're going to end up with an unclean edge. So just clean it up a little bit. And there you go. Okay. And to be honest, the whole look for this kind of painting is quite, it's not very sort of neat. I don't know if that's even really the word I want. It's quite a wild look. So it's quite fun because you know, as you say, if you make mistakes, you just sort of work them in. Okay. So this thing is looking like lavender now, actually. You can see. Just quite a nice kind of filler flower. In terms of overall layout plan here, I'm just going wherever, but now I've got like a pink side and a green side. So maybe I should work a bit in between here. And again, if you wanted to add, so say a stem coming down on there, just get your knife with some green on it. I'm actually going to go this way because of the angle. Yeah. And you could have a little leaf on the side there. Actually, don't know what does a lavender leaf look like. If you're not in this kind of green.
A spiky plant.
That's spiky, yeah. Quite long. Something like that. I don't know. And you can see here, so there was some icing sticking out here. You can just, once it's formed that crust, you can just press it down with your finger. And obviously you can pipe leaves as well, but will give you a different look, I think. Actually, really into this. I'm quite into this. Right, what's next? I had actually some more flower shapes here. Let me just see what else I've got here. Hold on a second. And when I was looking for other shapes and ideas, I found looking at, so there were some icing ones, but there were a lot more online of just like painting ones. So if you just look for like painting with a palette or whatever, you'll find tons of stuff. Okay, I'm going to attempt, where was that? Sorry, I had a very cute tulip, but I've lost it now. Okay, let's just do, should I do a kind of a rose? Okay, so the rose, let me just make another color for it so that we know what we're doing with the different colors. You don't have to use all these colors. I'm just doing that so that you can see the different shapes of the various things I'm using. So, wait, let me move things like this. So I've still got this pink here. I'm going to take a bit of this pink and turn it into red. And I'm going to mix it with the pink so that I've got like red and pink for my rose. Oh no, this red is, okay, what's going on there? Just getting the little things. There we go. Okay. And red is one of those colors. It's just a pain in the butt. It's a pain to mix. It's a pain to clean. Which is one of those colors. There we go. Nice red color. Okay. Okay, so for a rose, as I say, there's lots of ways of doing these. I'm going to try a few different options and we'll see what we think looks the best. I've looked up a few different methods which I've been trying. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. Okay. I'm going to use the rounded tip again, but you can just see what you think will be working best for you. So, okay, let's just do it. Some red. So this will be the top kind of the rose here. Okay. So even in the picture. No. There we go. And then I'm going to use the pink below it. To form the sort of next part of the petals. Right. Okay. And then we want the next row of petals to show that it is now closed, or that we're looking at it sort of from the side. So maybe I'll put a few little bit of yellow stameny bits in there. Actually, maybe I'll come back and do this at the end. So I'm going to come back with the red this time. Something like that. Oopsie. And then you might want a bit of green down here just to show that it's got its calyx, which is the green bottom. And to cover up, so you can see it's a bit messy there. Cover that up and make it part of the rose. There we go. It's not the most convincing rose I've ever seen, but it will do. It's about the angle as well. There we go. Here's it. And maybe a leaf just to go with the whole thing. Something like that. And the more icing you put on the little palette, the more textured it will be. So if you want it to stand right out, You just make it a little bit more of this pink here. So you can see I've got a lot of icing on my palette now. Just clean some of that away. So that when I push it in, it stands right away from the cake. I don't know. Screen. Hang on, let me just put this a bit closer. There we go. No. Unmute. Sorry. Here we go. I think I muted myself there. Sorry.
Yeah.
How are you going there? Are you going okay there?
Yeah, so I've done the top. I'm just now figuring out what to do about the sides.
So you can just carry on with your pattern down the sides, or you can just leave them plain. It's totally up to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think a little bit. But it is looking very festive. I've gone with red and green.
Merry Christmas. I love it. Sorry, I think while I was muted, I inadvertently muted myself there. So this kind of thing, I just put the two different colors and then I swirled it using the back of a spoon or something. I don't know what actually I use now. But like scraping in there to get, so you can see the white, which gives you that kind of petal look.
Yes.
I'll try a bit more here. That wasn't working so great. Yeah, whatever. I don't know when I muted myself. That's not great. I'm still battling with this technology. But again, you can paint anything. You can make, if you just wanted to make a texture, you could just do that too. It doesn't have to be a flower or whatever. It could just be, you know, just a texture type of thing. Or if it's really not great, these ones weren't so great, just scrape it away. You can either ice over it or just make some kind of creation over it. Cover up where the colors are. quite like making like little, so obviously if it was really a plant, a flower, everything would be joined by a stem. But I quite like this kind of thing where you just make little separate things as if you can't see the stem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because those are great for filling in gaps where you don't, not quite sure, there's not enough space to do a whole nother flower, but you want something to fill in that gap. I made a huge mess here. Cool. I see it's actually past 12:30. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
As always, you can just send me your questions if you think of them later.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, mine is quite festive too. I think it's the colors. That pink is very pink. Very, very pink. Cool. I might finish fill in these gaps and take a photo, but I'll send it to you or something.
Yeah.
Once I'm done. Cool. And I'll see. Am I seeing you next week?
Yes.
Or am I seeing you just now?
No, it's next week.
Next week. I've totally lost the plot. So I was sick earlier, well, last week actually, on Friday. Not COVID, thankfully, but everyone had to quarantine and everything while I was waiting for the results. And yeah, I got so behind on my work. It wasn't even funny. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Cool. Okay.
Okay.
I'll chat to you next week.
Yes. Okay. And thanks for the class.
Okay,
I'll send you a picture of mine when it's done.
Awesome. I love seeing your pictures. You're one of the only people that sends me pictures, so I love it.
Okay. Cheers. See you next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye.